Hello everyone. Welcome to the Belmont Journal, Belmont's own program for hyperlocal news and community affairs programming. I'm your host, Roger Colton. Belmont Light has been ranked #1 for clean energy amongst all Massachusetts municipal light departments. The Massachusetts Climate Action Network ranked all 41 municipal light departments on their clean energy supply, their energy efficiency programs, and their plans to reduce their dependence on dirty energy over time. The scoring methodology, along with the full report, can be found online in NCAN's website. Hello and welcome to This Week in the Belmont Citizen Herald. I have with me today Joanna Juvelis, who is the multimedia journalist for the Citizen Herald and for Wicked Local Belmont, Belmont's online and print source of weekly news. Thank you for stopping over.
You're welcome, Roger.
There was a big hearing the other night on reuses of the former incinerator site.
Yes. The selectmen have been discussing this since last summer. They started out with 17 ideas that came from a community forum for the former incinerator site, which is located on Concord Avenue. It's like 25 acres of town property surrounded by wetlands. It used to be an incinerator site. In fact, the incinerator building still sits on the land, to give people a little bit of history. And basically, they've narrowed the list down to 5 uses. And those uses include this anaerobic digester, which is a commercial scale digestion facility that accepts organic materials, breaks them down, turns it into methane gas, and generates electricity, just for anybody who's not familiar with it.
And the neighbors were not happy.
Right. Well, let me just briefly tell you the results of the feasibility study that the town's environmental engineering consultant did. He basically said to make this financially viable and profitable for the town, it would need to be a 30 feet tall building. It would need to receive 200 tons of waste daily. That would bring 20 to 30 18-wheel trucks making 40 to 60 trips daily in and out of the town to deliver this waste. And one
trip in, one trip out.
Right. But you would get a tax payment of about $600,000 annually. You would also get, have a lease payment of about $50,000 annually, and the electricity generated would be sold at 11 cents per kilowatt hour based on the green rate Belmont Light has. You could also avoid tipping fees if curbside collection is done. So there are pros and there are cons. The surrounding neighborhood, you were there January 28th, as I was, and you saw the crowd that was there. It was standing room only.
The message that I heard from...
They were not happy.
Yes. People were concerned, and indeed there was a threat of a lawsuit already, right? Exactly.
The neighborhood has signed a petition against it, and then several people spoke against it, including Tag Romney. Tag Romney, I don't think he really needs an introduction, but his father was a former presidential candidate and former Massachusetts governor, right? Mitt Romney.
He was.
He basically said that he can't imagine a worse use in this neighborhood. And he said he also sits on the facilities committee for the Belmont Hill School, and he's like, I know they would be very interested in putting a hockey rink here and pursuing the public-private partnership. That got the selectmen saying, okay, well maybe we'll test the land, we'll test the borings to see what kind of a foundation would be needed to support a hockey rink and what that would cost.
And ultimately, the Board of Selectmen said that they would make a decision by March 18th.
February 4th, they want the town's environmental engineer consultant to come back to them and say, can you find someone to do this boring test, and when, and how much is it going to, I think that's going to cost $25,000, and the town administrator said she's willing to pay that. And the selectman, Mark Palillo, supports that. They're also going to do additional traffic studies to see what a hockey rink would potentially bring, what additional traffic it would bring to the high school campus as well as the former incinerator site. So now the hockey rink is a pretty strong option as well for the incinerator site. There are 3 other options they're considering: the bike and skate park, open space, and solar storage.
Okay. But
it doesn't look good for the anaerobic digester after Monday, in my opinion.
We will have a decision moving forward on that very soon. We have been speaking with Joanna Juvelis, who is the multimedia journalist for the Belmont Citizen Herald and Wicked Local Belmont. Welcome to This Week in the Belmontonian. I have with me today Franklin Tucker, the editor and publisher of the Belmontonian, Belmont's online source for hyperlocal news. Thanks for stopping over.
Oh, thank you.
The decision on a community path location is moving forward. Is that safe to say?
You bet it is. Last Board of Selectmen meeting, which was on Monday, the Board of Selectmen brought as two of their guests officials from the MBTA and the Massachusetts Department of Transportation. Now, these were important people because back in August, during the summer, it was these two groups that had their concerns known that if Belmont was going to go on the south side, it meant that they'd be crossing the tracks at Brighton Street in a diagonal manner, and they don't want that. They don't want people to go from one path to another path by going cross train tracks. They would rather avoid them at all costs. So they basically said it was a safety issue, and Belmont wouldn't probably get funding for it. And believe me, Belmont is not going to pay for anything, the construction of this path, without federal money. And as the state and the MBTA said, they've got the money. They want this built.
And to make it clear, when we talk about the south side of the tracks, that's the high school side of the tracks.
That's right.
The north side is
the Channing Road side.
The Channing Road side. So I thought that this was all decided.
It was decided back in December of 2017 when the Board of Selectmen selected the south side after it was deemed the most appropriate by the consultant, the PAR group. But when the MBTA and MassDOT, as they're called, expressed their concerns about safety, the Board of Selectmen said, "Well, we're going to see if the north side can be done because these are new changes. You know, we have to be flexible because many of the facts were in flux at the time."
Now, with the MassDOT, who is providing the money, is there danger that they would refuse to provide the money if they thought that the crossing was unsafe?
Well, that's the interesting thing. At the meeting, they basically, both the MBTA and MassDOT said, there's no fatal flaw whether we go on the north side or the south side. Now, that sounds interesting because now you would think that the Board of Selectmen would continue with a south side, right, which would also make the Channing Road people very happy. But now, when they found out that they could go on the south side, another factor came up, and those are called pinch points. There are two major pinch points on the south side where the width is not wide enough that will allow emergency vehicles to go in and out. So what the town will have to do is basically take portions of two buildings, which is the Crate Escape, the dog place, and the Pure Coat industrial site. They'd have to take those pieces by eminent domain or buy them, and those are considered almost fatal flaws for the town.
Because that would be a town expense.
That would be a huge town expense.
Now, is there any sort of deadline or time frame where we're going to get to a decision?
Well, the Board of Selectmen said that we can't go on with this, but this is not going to go on for another 3 decades like it has been going on. They said that on the 26th of February, they're going to make a decision, whether it's the north side and the south side, and that's it. That will be the decision.
So in a couple of weeks.
That's right.
Thanks for bringing us up to date. We've been speaking with Franklin Tucker, the editor and publisher of the Belmontonian, Belmont's online source for hyperlocal news. The Belmont Police Department has signed on to an innovative approach to handling many criminal justice cases. I have with me today Belmont Police Chief Richard McLaughlin to talk about the Belmont Police Department's new efforts in restorative justice. Thanks for stopping over, Chief.
Thanks for having me, Roger.
Can you summarize what the concept of restorative justice is?
What restorative justice is and gives us an alternative to what we've had in the process we've utilized in the past. Back in April of 2018, Governor Baker signed into the Criminal Justice Reform Act, and what that did is open the doors and let departments and communities sign on to restorative justice programs. Our particular one that we've become partner now with, C4RJ, has been doing this process since 2000, and we've been looking at it for a number of years, but now that we have had the opportunity, we've signed on, because now with the new criminal justice reform bill, I think there's going to be a lot of other departments and communities signing on as well.
And when you say the Belmont Police Department is signed on, what does that mean? What will you do differently now?
What we will do differently now is when we have a crime committed, what we'll do is look at the particulars of the crime, and we'll talk to the people involved. Mostly, importantly, is the victim of the crime. And if this is a strictly voluntary process, and what we'd ask is if the victim would want to participate in this program. It's strictly voluntary, and part of the process is that there's a circle, what they say, is how they describe it, and it's confidential, but the process is that we talk about what happened, the crime committed, and what we want to do is make the person, the victim, and the community right from that situation, whatever it was, whether it be vandalism to somebody's property, breaking and entering, and prior to that, we would take a report, and we'd take the person.
And eventually it would end up in court.
It would end up in court.
In criminal court.
In criminal court. So this gives us alternatives that we don't have to go that road, but it's all encompassing on the victim and the offender being part of it, because the offender has to sign off on a contract and be remorseful for their actions.
And there is a role for Belmont volunteers, if I understand correctly, right?
Yes, there is. And part of the program, you know, the police are involved, obviously. The representative from C4RJ is involved, the victim, the offender. And then there's volunteers from the community to listen, to help people understand the impact of that crime and try and resolve it as a group.
I have a question. What does the police department get out of this?
What we get out of it is obviously more being partner with our community and having people understand our role, but also the impact more so that the crime that was committed has on our community.
Will this begin soon in Belmont, or is it already started?
We've started it's a process. And
of course.
And we've started, back in December, I sent a number of our department members to some training. Part of the process also is that C4RJ will be coming in to do roll call training for all our members so that everybody understands what it entails. And then, you know, again, there's going to be some volunteer training. And I know that there was some scheduled for February.
And that's full.
That's full, I've been told.
Yes.
That class is full. And but there's another one scheduled for May. And again, I think we can refer people to the C4RJ website, and that has a lot of information on it as far as what they can understand and better explain.
So the Belmont Police Department is going to be participating with the community as a community partner.
Yes, indeed.
With Restorative Justice, and as the process rolls out, we will hear more and more from
indeed.
the police department.
Yes, indeed.
Thanks for stopping over, Chief.
Thank you, Roger. I appreciate you having us on, having me and the department on.
We've been speaking with Belmont Police Chief Richard McLaughlin about the use of restorative justice in Belmont in the coming months and years. Now is the time for interested persons to file their nomination papers to run for town meeting members or to run for town-wide public office. I have with me today Town Clerk Ellen O'Brien Cushman to talk about running for public office.
Thanks for having me.
Let's talk about running for town meeting first.
Sure.
What spaces are open?
So there are 12 spots in every one of our 8 voting precincts. Those are available for new and town meeting members who want to try and get reelected. There are a total of 288 elected town meeting members, so it's a pretty big panel. Anybody who wants to run is welcome as long as they are a registered voter of Belmont. They would gather 25 signatures of their relatives and friends who are also registered voters of Belmont in their precincts. They would just pick up nomination papers from the town clerk's office anytime we're open. They have till February 12th at 5 p.m. to turn them back in.
And one thing I think I heard you just say is, even if there are incumbents running for re-election, each of the 12 spots is open in each precinct.
You have to fight for your spot. And in some precincts, it's a hard-fought fight. And in others, we're still recruiting and trying to get people to represent their communities.
Is there any particular precinct where there are fewer people running for re-election?
Yes. In Precinct 7, we actually only have, I believe, 4 of the 12 people have filed saying that they are interested in re-election, although 1 or 2 of the people who hadn't responded are considering. But there are 12 slots in every single one of the precincts. In addition, there are some partial spots. In precincts 1, 2, 5, and 7, there are tiny, 1-year slots or 2-year slots instead of the customary 3 for someone who wants to dip in the toe instead of diving all the way.
And it seems to me that a partial year slot allows somebody to test to see whether they're interested in being in town meeting.
Exactly. It's just those were vacated by the person before their term ended.
Let's talk about the process of filing, of getting signatures and filing papers.
Sure.
How many signatures do people need?
So for town meeting, it requires 25 signatures of certified registered voters of your precinct, only your precinct. And for townwide office, it's 50. So we always recommend a cushion of probably 10 extra voting signatures.
So getting 25 signatures really involves walking your neighborhood on a Saturday or Sunday or an evening night. And
probably not a day like today. It's pretty cold, but yes.
But talking to your neighbors.
Absolutely. If you're at a Super Bowl gathering, for example, bring your papers. Come into the town clerk's office today, tomorrow, pick them up, and you can just have people sign as long as they're registered voters.
Okay, to summarize, the headlines I hear from you
are
that there are 12 slots in every precinct for town meeting.
Correct.
And number 2 is that the deadline for filing papers is February 12th.
At 5 p.m.
That's great. Thank you for stopping over.
No problem. We're hoping to see a lot of new people.
Belmont's Artur Nergaryan, who owns the shop Art's Specialties, uses a unique process to ensure fresh products for his customers. Joanna Juvelis talks with us about Nergaryan and his use of hydroponics.
My name is Artur Nergaryan. I'm the owner of Art's Specialties, and I would like to give you a tour of the store in Belmont. I want to show the hydroponics station, which is our new project that we're doing it, and it's been really well received. A lot of my customers asking for produce. And I was like, I cannot bring a lot of produce that won't stay and be bad, and we will have a lot of loss. So we look at the alternative where we can do, and I did research and find out that a lot of companies now get into hydroponics. And in New York, in California, then eventually, if this works in food deserts, you can build this as well. All you need water and nest, and you can have a very fresh and good quality and not that expensive food. We grow a lot of lettuce for salad. We do basil, cilantro, rosemary. This is where it starts as a seed. This is where it germinates. And this is like about 3 days, and we can see some seeds are coming out. This is about a week, that's 2 weeks, and that's already 3 weeks. So our first batch of basil, which was about 50 basil, we sold out within, I would say, about 2 weeks. About 50 basil is gone, and the lettuce are as fresh as it can get. A lot of customers, if they won't buy one bunch, which is like a $2, and they put in a sandwich, they put on their salad. Some of them is like, okay, I'll buy and make a salad at home. Some of them, they want us to make the salad, which takes like 5 minutes. We make a fresh salad for them. So it has the water in it. It's connected, and it's timed, so it turns on. It waters itself. We don't touch it. It does everything to water. I took off of the timer, so it starts to water.
Here's the Belmont Media Center's Jane Peters to tell us about what there is to do in Belmont in the coming week.
Hi everyone, I'm Jane and this is your community calendar for next week. The online summer camp auction to support the Foundation for Belmont Education is open until Tuesday, February 5th at 10 p.m. Visit fbe-belmont.org/camp auction to view a complete list of camps and to bid. Camps range from packages valued at over $2,000 at camps in Maine to Concord summer soccer camps. This is a great chance to ensure your child's summer plans and support the FBE. Award-winning author-illustrator Jerry Kraft is visiting Belmont Books on Tuesday to discuss his new book, New Kid, a timely, honest graphic novel about starting over at a new school where diversity is low and the struggle to fit in is real. Kids and adults alike can enjoy this free event beginning at 6 p.m. The public is invited to attend the Planning Board hearings on the new Belmont 7 to 12 high school and provide comments on the design. The next meeting takes place on Tuesday at 7 p.m. in the Board of Selectmen meeting room in Town Hall. Visit belmonthighschoolproject.org to learn more about the design and to stay up to date on the project. Documentary Matters is an initiative of the Social Documentary Network and Digital Silver Imaging to provide a place for photographers to meet and discuss ongoing or completed projects. On Wednesday at 6:30, hear from photographers Eric Hoffner, Meredith Neerman, and Paris Vizone at Digital Silver Imaging. You don't need to be a professional to attend, you just need to be committed to the documentary form in photography, multimedia, or video, and committed to learning. Learn more on the Social Documentary Network's website. Taste some gorgeous wines and discover why Portugal is now the hottest wine region today at QV's Wine Seminar on Thursday at 6:30. Wine specialist Augusto Gabriel will guide you on a tour of this ancient wine-producing region, home to some of the world's most delicious and best value wines. RSVP for this free seminar by email or in-store. Sustainable Belmont presents the Belmont Fix-It Clinic on Saturday from 1 to 5 at the library. At Fix-It Clinics, participants can bring in various damaged items and receive free guided assistance from volunteers with repair skills. All ages are welcome to this hands-on event where you'll learn basic repair skills, build community connections, and reduce the number of repairable objects thrown in the trash. Also on Saturday, enjoy an afternoon of local talent at the Belmont Media Center's open mic from noon to 4 p.m. Musicians, comedians, filmmakers, poets, and more are welcome to sign up for 15-minute spots to perform on the BMC stage. Audience members are also welcome to attend for a free afternoon of live entertainment. Learn more and sign up online. We are all acutely aware of the effects of this cold time of year, and the homeless among us even more so. Boston Healthcare for the Homeless and the Boston Red Sox have teamed up to address the need for clean, warm socks this winter. Dr. David Alper, podiatrist, will have a donation box for new white socks of all sizes in his office at 1 Oak Avenue in Belmont. Stop by and place the socks in the bin between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. Monday through Thursday, and for every 2 pairs, Dr. Alper will add an additional pair. The Belmont Gallery of Art opens its newest show, Three Graces, with local artists Cynthia Brody, Susan Murray, and Julie Dapper. This exhibit celebrates iconography of the feminine. Visit belmontgallery.org for more information and for gallery hours. And that's all for next week. If you'd like your event featured in Belmont Journal's community calendar, you can email your event info to jane@belmontmedia.org.
Belmont's Chinese Festival was held last weekend at the Chenery Middle School. Like the previous 2 years, the gala was sold out. For the organizer, the Belmont Chinese American Association, the event is a place for the Chinese community in Belmont to gather and a time to introduce the Chinese community to the broader Belmont community.
Chinese New Year is a really important festival for us. So we have a big community here. The Belmont American Association, we just started kind of 3 years ago. So since then, we are thinking to gather all these Chinese people together. Then we want to do something, also want to get the whole community together. So this year is the fourth celebration. We have more than 100 people in the show. And we also have more than 100 volunteers involved in it. The purpose is not for we earn some money, it's just for donate to the Friends of Belmont Council of Aging Senior Center. So every last year we donate to the food pantry. So we are thinking, not just with celebration, we also think of good. So how to involve in the community and help others.
The boys and girls basketball teams for Belmont High School continue to win. Franklin Tucker brings us up to date on the success of the basketball teams as we watch clips from the recent Lexington games.
The Belmont High School boys and girls varsity basketball team continue on their winning ways, remaining undefeated as they defeated their respective opponents, Lexington and Wakefield High School, last week. In the boys' game versus Lexington, Ben Sarawagi was the engine that made Belmont go. He had a game of sixes. He led the team in rebounds and assists with 6 and had 6 points on 3 for 6 shooting. Leading the team in scoring was Danny Armanian with 31 and Mac Annis with 20 as Belmont defeated the Minutemen 93-71. On Tuesday night's game, the boys varsity team squeaked by Wakefield in a score of 64-63. It was their toughest test of the season. According to coach Adam Pritchard, the Wakefield team matched up with Belmont as well as any team this season, but the team toughed it out and kept their perfect record in the Middlesex League. In the girls' game versus Lexington, Megan Tan, Nina Minicozy, and Maya Bergdorf had 14, 13, and 12 points respectively. Tan and Minicozy each had 4 steals and 3 assists, while Bergdorf led the team in rebounds with 9. The girls' game against Wakefield at the Werner Fieldhouse featured another solid game by Tan, leading the scoring with 20 points and playing tough defense, resulting in 6 steals. The leading rebounder was Ellen Gagnon with 9. Belmont prevailed 50-33 after a cold shooting bout in the first 3 minutes of the game.
Well, that's it for this week's edition of the Belmont Journal. As we sign off, let's watch what else is available on the Belmont Media Center's community programming television channels. This is the Belmont Journal. I'm your host, Roger Colton. I will see you again next time.